we read about the Bnei Ruvain and Bnei Gad, the members of the tribes of Ruvain and Gad. Torah tells us they had enormous livestock, herds, flocks, and they needed grazing lands. And the Trans-Jordan side of the Yarden was the location for those grazing lands. This was Eretz Sichon and Og. And they come to Moshe and they say, we'd like to stay here, not to cross over into Eretz Yisrael. And what they had said was, Gidrus Tzon Niven L'Vnenu Po, we'd like to build enclosures for our sheep here, V'orim, and we'll build cities, L'Tapein, for our children, enclosures for the livestock, and cities for our children, for our families. So Rashi cites Chazal, Chosim Hoya Mamonim Yosem B'neim B'neiseim. They were more concerned for their possessions than for their families. Shekdimu Mikneim L'Tapom. The priority they had mentioned, first they're going to address the needs of their flocks and then the needs of their families. Amalem Moshe Lokain. Moshe says you have your priorities mixed up. Like today, many people have their priorities mixed up. Asu Ika Vatofel Tofer. What's primary should be primary, what's secondary should be secondary. Meaning, money is only to facilitate what's primary. It's a means, it's not an end. First you should build cities for your families. And then you build enclosures for your sheep. The Balaturim cites a pasuk in Mishlei where it says that the person who, the spelling of the word is with a ches, but the word, the way it's read, the kri is mefuholim. A person's like confused, overwhelmed for wealth. Ultimately, there'll be no blessing from that wealth. And what is this referring to? But the word is written mevucholim with a ches. In the portion of Bnei Gad and Ruvain, the back and forth with Moshe Rabbeinu, Bnei Ruvain and Gad are mentioned 8 times. And that's, so the ches is alluding to all the levels of engagement they had with Moshe Rabbeinu, and it's read Vuholim. Because they were hungry, they were driven for the material, ultimately there was no blessing. And therefore it says when Sancheriv had exiled the 10 tribes, the tribes of Reuven and Gad, they were exiled 8 years before everyone else. They were the first ones to be exiled because their wealth was the primary and everything else was secondary to them. The Midrash tells us, Mishnah Chuma, they were phenomenally wealthy. And they had a special love for their money. And because of that, they chose not to go into Eretz Yisrael, that their location was Chutz La'aretz. And therefore they were the first ones to be exiled. Shenemar, as it says, they were the first ones to be exiled. And what was the cause of this? Why were they more culpable for this exile more than anyone to be the first ones? It doesn't say because they separated themselves, they didn't go into Eretz Yisrael. They were willing to separate themselves from the Jewish community, from their brothers, for the sake of their livestock. Because they had these enormous herds and flocks, therefore that was the reason. That was more important than their association. We find at the end of Pirkei Avos that this person meets Rabbi Yosef and Kisman. He says, I would like you should come to my community. Whatever wage you ask, I'll give it to you. So he said, if you give me all the money in the world, all the diamonds, all the gold and silver, I will never go. I will only go to a community where they're what? Where they're sofrim, where Talmidei Chachamim. If they're not there, I'm not going. Because again, a Jew has to be in a community where you have other Jews and Jews who have similar perspectives and values. Otherwise, and this was it. Here, it doesn't say because they didn't go into Kedusha Sa'oretz, into Eretz Yisrael. Shepirushu atzmin acheim. They separated themselves from their brothers, not being part of the Jewish community. And why? Of course, we all justify things. Everything is for the sake of God. We'll have greater wealth. We'll be able to serve God. We'll be able to support causes, everything else. But you understand, everything's perspective. If you're where you should be, then we could talk about to facilitate what you're supposed to facilitate. But if you detach yourself and you lose the perspective, the question is, your evaluation of what's right may not be the right thing.